What do the Soviets do?
Look it up. That's
not real.
spooky. That is real. That is real, and one of those guys is still on display till this very day.
And this isn't like the
Look
wax
it up.
museum.
Look up which Russian president is still on display.
This is not the wax museum situation.
They turned him into basically a statue after 100 years, and they had to keep doing this over and over. Yeah, look it up. Russian preparing to bury Lenin after displaying former. Yeah, so they just recently moved him and buried him after having him on display for 88 years. But there's another guy I think still on display. Yeah, that's substantially spooky. Russians got some weird stuff going on with. You could go right in there and you'll see there's multiple. They did this to multiple guys. I think it was Stalin and Lenin. That's some spooky stuff. They had this dude out for a while.
And how long was he out for?
I don't remember.
Is this like a normal thing y'all Russians do?
I don't know, man. It's kind of gross.
Ugh.
Yeah, they have one of them out for a very long time, and then after the fall of the communism, they like moved it.
So displaying leaders is kind of a thing that happens overseas, huh?
Yeah, look at that, bro.
Like this.
Look at that. They had to like preserve the body. So this is actually a Russian YouTuber that speaks really good English. He actually fled after the war. I keep up with him. He's pretty cool. Why is Lenin still in the Kremlin mausoleum? Play it.
I really need to go, to be honest, because it's incredible, isn't it? Quite honestly, I feel like he barely looks.
Had your wife.
Explicit.
The same at this point. And as far as like the footage of how this embalming process goes, there's really not much on the internet, but there is like this one video that's like become, pretty big at this point. This Russian TV channel did like a documentary about, how the embalming of Lenin's body works. And they have this like...
Darkness.
It looks like a daggone Target mannequin display.
Like footage in it of like essentially workers of this institute like treating the body and sort of putting in like in this like a special substance and everything and sort of like getting the body out, and it looks so creepy. Like the skin color is very wrong and everything. He has like this massive hole between his ribs. I mean, I didn't even know if this is like good for YouTube as far as like the monetization goes and everything. But yeah, like it's just really weird to look at, honestly. So yeah, let's continue a little bit. In 1953, when Stalin actually passed away, his body was also immediately embalmed and put into the same building.
That's right. Okay, that's what I remember. The pictures of them next to each other.
Ugh. Were they homies?
No, they were just kind of like the guys, the leaders of the communism thing.
Come on.
So the mausoleum of Lenin now was called Mausoleum of Lenin and Stalin. They even changed the sign. It says Lenin and Stalin. But if you guys know the history of the Soviet Union, after Stalin's death, the next leader of the Soviet Union was Nikita Khrushchev, who essentially with the Communist Party started a massive campaign against Stalin, essentially, basically destroying his code of personality. So yeah, Khrushchev's rhetoric towards Stalin was
now to be fair, Stalin did some wild stuff.
Yeah, Stalin was wild.
So then that's why they ended up burying Stalin but leaving out Lenin. Play the rest of this.
But no one remembers Vladimir Khrushchev.
Yeah, that's fair.
If you want to be remembered, you gotta
do some bad stuff. Go ahead.
Were very harsh. And essentially as a result of that, his body was actually removed from the mausoleum and it was changed back to just Lenin. So yeah, they removed Stalin, but they did not remove Lenin. Lenin had nothing to do with it. That was just Stalin and Khrushchev beef, And yeah, basically after that point, there's really not much that happens to the mausoleum. I mean, it just stands there. You can still go visit it today. Anyway, another interesting fact about the mausoleum is that actually the laboratory that's been sort of organized.
That was 3 years ago, so I don't think you can go visit it today.
No, I think that what we just saw was that they're removing him from the mausoleum. But play the rest of this.
Organized to, preserve the body and to embalm it. It's actually served a lot of countries at this point. For example, Ho Chi Minh, the leader of Vietnam, was actually embalmed in that exact laboratory. And actually both Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il were also embalmed in like the Russian laboratory that is related to the Lenin mausoleum, which is pretty fascinating. So I guess because of this situation, Russia probably has like the best specialists in like embalming people, But yeah, now that we've discussed the fascinating history of the mausoleum, I think it's time to talk about why it's still a thing and if anybody at any point has tried to, take it down or get rid of it and sort of why it's never happens, I guess. So
I wonder, I think up to this point, up until recently, which we're going to try to figure that out, they would go and check them out. They would go and see them. Like you can go to Moscow and visit the mausoleum up until recently.
So now, all that to say,
hey man,
get a soft-faced pope and stop displaying them, huh?
Can you verify? Let's look up Lenin still in mausoleum. I think the moral of the story is this: when the government replaces God, which is what happened, you will need deity-like figures to do what only God can do. That's why these guys were posted up, right? And on top of like Jesus's teaching, and I'm not saying this in an absolute sense, but like let the dead bury their dead.
Yeah.
This idea of
like trying to keep bodies around.
Keep bodies around, all this stuff. It's just weird, And I know like there's probably somebody like, well, in the Jewish tradition, they did, right? But nevertheless, like this is some weird stuff. So as of he's still on display, bro.
Wow, that's crazy.
So Lenin is still on display. Yes, Vladimir Lenin's embodied body is still on display at the Lenin Mausoleum on Red Square in Moscow. That's insane. Over 100 years later at this point.
I went to the Red Square in Moscow.
That's right. You've been in Moscow.
Yep. Your home country is a beautiful place.
It is not. No, it is not. No, it is not. Yeah. So this dude is still on display right now, 100 years later. But this is what happens when people don't have anchoring in something transcendent.
So the body's what, 170 years old, 160
Probably
years old?
something like that. Yeah. Yeah. This is what happens when you don't have anchoring in something transcendent. This is what happens when, Christians were not treated well with the rise of communism, and a lot of control happened with the churches, to the point where they kept people out of churches. Like in the movie Between Borders, which is a parallel to my story, the lead actress, or the mom of the story, basically talks about how she goes from being the lady who kept people from going to church, kept the kids from going to church, to now becoming a churchgoer herself. That's the kind of stuff that like communism did to people. And this is why if and when you guys see me being a little hard on the leftists, being a little hard on the AOCs, being a little hard on the Bernies, when you see me being hard on this sort of stuff, it's not uncommon for people that understand the background of Soviet Union, communism, that sort of stuff, and to see the fruits of it and be apprehensive towards it. In a very, like, anything that's close to it, I don't rock with, So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am ecstatic to announce to you my very first official book with a major publisher, Godly Ambition, coming out September 9th. This is the first thing we did where a major publisher, Penguin Random House, the biggest publisher in the world, partnered with us on his book. We had an amazing editor, and it's coming out September 9th. And the pre-order is available right now. It's on Amazon, everywhere bookstores are sold. And this is what we need you guys to do. You need you guys to go pre-order it, and you can claim this offer. If you claim this offer, you will get a 25% discount code to the Blessed God Shop. You will get a sneak peek chapter for early reading. It's actually 2 chapters. It's the intro chapter and it's the first chapter.
Come on.
So there's 2 chapters of the book you'll get right away. You'll be entered for a chance to be one of 10 winners to receive a limited edition advanced reader copy of the book.
Come on.
Okay?
Okay.
So you go to Amazon, punch in Ruslan KD, punch in, or you could just go to My Godly Ambition, godlyambition.co, scroll down, and any of these stores work.
That's fire.
Go to Amazon, Godly Ambition, $23.98 right now, okay, which is actually, I think, the cheapest anywhere I've seen it. Get a screenshot of it, go back to the website, hit claim this offer, okay? Again, you receive a 25% discount code, and you get the intro chapter and the second chapter. All you got to do is just put your information and put a screenshot of your receipt, and you get it right away in the mail. The book comes out September 9th. Here's the idea. Ambition is not the enemy. It's the answer. There's so much demonization of ambition. There's so much demonization of people who are looking to improve their situation. This is actually in response to some of the prosperity gospel nonsense out there. You have a binary in the zeitgeist right now. One perspective is that if you're talking about anything, success, ambition, not being a loser, that you're Joel Osteen and you're the prosperity gospel guy. The other is you have to take a vow of poverty and go down and live like a monk. Those are the 2 extremes that are presented. No one is talking about anything related to ambition, to drive, to focus, to diligence, to stewardship, to being industrious, to leaning into the aspects of the fruit of the Spirit.
It's like, okay, what does it actually look like? If we're not going to be influenced by paganism, but we're going to be excited about stewarding your ambition properly, this is what this book is about. It's about creating a roadmap and a path that's not just taking what the secular world is doing and then adding your own morality into it based off the Bible. This is like What does the Bible teach? Let's do that.
And so I would encourage you guys, reevaluate this and go pre-order the book and read the first 2 chapters. And if you don't like the first 2 chapters, well, hey,
Send it back.
Send it back, I guess. But I think you guys will like it. And I think you guys will be shocked on how much it is actually immersed in Scripture.